So today's the first episode of a series where I'll be reviewing diet foods. So what's on the menu today? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Alex, sports dietitian, nutrition coach. Welcome to my channel. Great to have you here. So as I said in the beginning, this is going to be the first kind of episode of a series where I'm just going to find diet foods out there in my local supermarket, things that are trending, things that people recommend, and I'm going to give you my take on it. I'm going to do a bit of a review against different categories to tell you, what does a sports dietitian think? Is this thing worth it? Is it actually worth the hype? Is it actually nutritious? All these sort of things. And today we're going to be doing a review on the Table of Plenty rice cakes. There's different flavors. There's a milk chocolate, there's obviously dark chocolate, and there's also berry, and I believe there's another one as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's another one as well. And today I just decided I'm going to go dark chocolate. People tend to like chocolatey versions of diet foods, so I'm like, let's go chocolate, and dark chocolate is something different. So that's what we're going to do today. We're reviewing these Table of Plenty dark chocolate rice cakes. So without further ado, let's get into the review. So as I said, I'm going to be doing the review against certain categories. So at the end, you have a score out of 10 for each category and then a total score to see how it actually weighs up. That way you can compare different diet foods across the different episodes going into the future.
We're sending you back to the future. Okay.
So obviously we're going to be doing taste, macro friendliness, practicality/portability, satiety, and cost effectiveness. So that's the 6 categories that we're going to start with to review today's product, which again are these rice cakes. So let's do a taste test. Let's see exactly what they're like. Okay, so the big reveal. Let's open it. Now, the first thing you want to kind of realize from this is, if you look at my size of my hand, it's like a normal kind of size packet for like a one serve, so to speak, of a snack food. And it's 60 grams. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's 60 grams of this product in this. Now, as the case is always, it is a lot of air, but as you can see at the bottom there, hopefully you can see that properly, there's still quite a few of these rice cakes. Let's look at what they look like. Okay, so that's what they look like. Hope that's not blurry. Ooh. Hope it's not blurry, but as you can see, they're mini rice cakes, very small size, and they're like your typical rice cakes at the bottom, and then they're covered in chocolate. Chocolate covered rice cakes, that's what they are. So as you can see, they smell quite good, to be honest, but no one usually smells their snacks. That's it, okay? Table of Plenty rice cakes. So let's give a taste test first, okay? So what we're going to do first is do a taste test. Nice blend of the dark chocolate and the sweetness with the rice cake. That's actually pretty good. It says nourishing for your life. We shall see. The thing that also stands out says, but keep in mind that marketing claims and like nutrition claims and stuff, you got to look at it with some nuance. You can't just be like, oh, look, it says that. That's what we have. You have to look at it in certain aspects. Whole grain goodness. I mean, rice cake. It's not saying I personally consider like whole grain goodness. You know what I mean? But it's obviously it's not too bad. It's gluten free, obviously, vegan friendly, Belgian chocolate. That explains maybe why the taste is good with the chocolate. And it's fructose friendly. So if you're someone that's sensitive to fructose, obviously this will be friendly for you. It says only 17 calories per cake. So per one of these things is 17 calories, okay? So 17 calories. Okay, so I've done the taste now. And honestly, it's actually quite good. I want to keep eating it. So I'm going to do the score at the end. I'm going to do it for each one. Then we're going to give a universal score. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So I'm not going to do it each separate away. But just so far, understand that the taste is quite good. I quite like it. It's like a nice kind of Doesn't taste like a very, very sweet snack. Doesn't taste like a very savory snack. It's like a nice combination. And honestly, if someone's looking for a snack that's kind of like hitting that sweet tooth, I can see this ticking that box. Honestly, I can see this. So that's, taste-wise, we'll rate it, but just know that I do like what it tastes like. Now, the next thing we want to do is the nutrition side of things. Okay. The other things we're going to have to do at the end anyway, but the thing I can do right now is nutrition. So looking at this, per rice cake is 17 calories, but I don't know one individual who's going to be like, yep, I'm good. No one's going to do that. No one. I can safely say that. I would even bet on that no one would be doing that. So what we want to look at is the whole packet. Now, you can look at it from the perspective of how many serves there are. And looking at this, there's 4 serves of 15 grams in each packet. Now, the whole packet is obviously 60 grams. So you could split it into 4 and do it that way. And in that case, you'd be getting about 72 calories per serve, which is hardly anything. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good for a snack, as long as it's filling and satisfies your sweet tooth or satisfies whatever craving it is that you have, then that's okay. But when you buy a pack like this, usually you open it up, you finish it off. So let's just say that for the sake of argument, for realistic terms, this is 60 grams. Okay, one of these packets is a serve. Let's just consider it like that. Now you can buy these also, so you can buy them in individual 6 packs. So it comes into little 6 snack packs. You can do it that way as well, in which case, you open one and it's done. But I'm using this one here. So this one here is 60 grams. So you would have to eat the whole packet and determine how many calories there are after that. So looking at this, 60 grams, 72 times. So that comes out to just under 300. I think it's like 290 calories, 289, 290 calories. That's what it would come out with that, with the 72 times 4. And then that gives you just under 300 calories for one of these. So overall for a snack, it's not that bad. So calories wise, it's not that bad when you look at it from realistic terms, where what most people would snack on compared to this, just under 300 calories is pretty okay. Now, beyond that nutritionally, let's look at it per 100 grams, okay? Just to keep this all simple, per 100 grams, you're getting 480 calories. So I'm gonna give you a comparison, you'll realize what I mean in a second. Protein, 6.5 grams of non-complete protein. It's okay, it's gonna add on some protein to your diet, so you can't complain. Fats, it's actually surprisingly high in fats, so a lot higher than I expected for just a rice cake coated in chocolate. So it's quite high in fat, quite high in saturated fats as well, which is, you could argue if it's okay or not for yourself, depends on your overall diet. You wouldn't want to be snacking on this all day long. You'll be bumping up those saturated fats like there's no tomorrow. Carbohydrates, for something like this, I don't even worry about carbohydrates, and people worry too much about carbohydrates. Sugar, yeah, it's got about 27.5 grams, but to be expected with some kind of sweetness. You can't have everything, so to speak. Dietary fiber per 100 grams is 6.8. So, you'd have to eat a lot to get a pretty decent amount of fiber, but yeah, it's still something worth noting. And sodium, there's pretty much, hardly any sodium. So as comparable to something like chips, sodium wise, it's got nothing. Now, funny that I say chips, because I'm going to use a comparison for this for grain waves. So I looked at grain waves, and grain waves is actually very similar in terms of the per 100 grams kind of nutrition profile to this. In actual fact, this has got more saturated fat, strangely enough, than grain waves. Now, grain waves is marketed as a healthy chip or something like that. It is marketed that way, but at the end of the day, we all know that grain waves is just a crisp. It's a chip. It's something that you should only be having in moderation as part of a healthy diet where you want to just enjoy some chips. But it's interesting that something like this that's in the health food section, considered a diet food, when you actually look at the per 100 grams, not only is it very similar, but from a calorie point of view, it's right on the dot. That was why I found the comparison very interesting. Protein was a bit higher, I think, in the grain waves, but it's negligible, so to speak, in terms of that. The fat was similar in total fats, but saturated fat, for whatever reason, it's a lot higher in this than in grain waves. The carbs are very similar, but the sodium, obviously, in grain waves is a lot higher. So this would obviously have potentially more fiber, but grain waves is considered a grainy kind of chip. So yeah, but the thing with grain waves is, if you know much about grain waves, it's very similar to other more standard unhealthier chips. And because of that, you can look at it and go, well, calories from this is going to be comparable to chips across the board. And that's when you start looking at the difference here and start understanding the importance of actually looking at your product, reviewing the information there to realize, is it actually more calorie friendly? This in total may not be, but when you consider that it only gives you 60 grams, whereas the other chips is bigger, and then you might overeat the other chips and you only eat this much of this one, that's where the difference may lie. where this is more portion controlled. But don't be kind of fooled in terms of thinking just because something is in this health food section or something is a diet food or trendy food or someone's recommended it from that sake, that it's necessarily going to be more calorie friendly. That's all I'm saying. Even macro friendly, you could argue they're very similar macro friendly wise. This and like a grain wage or a normal chip. So it's just a bit of something you to think about. I'm not saying you can't eat this, not saying this is bad. I'm just saying that you've got to look at it from a different perspective, broader picture, and really look at what your food supply is doing. Okay, so that was the nutrition kind of aspect of it. So we covered the taste, which I just said was freaking good. I covered the nutrition, which I said was, not as macro friendly as I expected to be, just mainly because of the saturated fat being so high. Calories wise, again, it's not unmacro friendly, it's not macro friendly, it's kind of in between, but it's very comparable to chips. And it does get dictated by how much you actually have, how much portion control you're doing. But now let's look at in terms of the portability or the practicality. I say practicality, but I mean more like portability. How would this suit an athlete who just wants to have something on the go in their bag when they go into sports? Honestly, in the single ones, is really, really portable. You just have a single snack pack, pop it in your bag, you're good to go. This, again, is still pretty portable. I mean, it's just like a small packet of chips in terms of size. Like, look at it. It's pretty portable, so there's no problem there. But it's the case of that the other one's more portioned. So if you only want a small amount, you open that one, you finish it, you throw the wrapper in the bin. This, if you open it, it kind of may go stale for a period of time if you don't eat it all. That's where some of the practicality may go down a bit. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is cost effectiveness. I'm not going to talk about satiety just yet because I'll have to finish the packet before I can talk about how full I'm feeling. But cost effectiveness, it's one of those classic health foods here in Australia where it's in the health food section, it's marketed that way, it's popular, and because of that, it's got a bit of a premium on price, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, I got this for about $2.85, which is, it's okay for a snack. It's reasonable if you're going to snack and you didn't pack anything in your bag. But the usual price is like close to $4, something along that lines. And if you get the individual 6 packets, I think about $5.50, $6, something like that. So when you consider that it's still pretty small pack, I mean 60 grams, and you're paying about $3, $4 for it potentially when it's not on sale. Cost effectiveness wise for what you get, I mean, you can make that argument for yourself. It's going to be cost effective. One of those classic ones where it's going to be cost effective depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something more portion controlled, that's not going to make you splurge as much as on chips or something like chocolate, but you still want to feel like you're having a nice treat and you want to kind of have that extra price for it, that's fine. But if you're someone where this does not justify the size and the purchase price, then that's when you can kind of make that argument. So it's one of those ones that's in between. It's not extravagantly expensive, but it's not necessarily super cost effective either. It's a classic health food here in Australia, premium on price just because it's a health food. So yeah, that's all those categories done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish this off and then we're going to talk about the actual ratings for each and give you a final score. Okay, here goes.
A few moments later.
Okay, packet's done. There you go, for proof. So you're not like, oh, this guy's not eating the whole packet. I definitely ate it, okay? I've got a big appetite. I definitely ate that too, okay? So anyway, let's get into it. Taste-wise, out of 10, what do I think? Honestly, for what it is, and considering the taste of it, I'm actually going to give it a pretty high score. I'm going to give it about an 8.5 out of 10. Pretty high score, 8.5 out of 10. From a macro friendliness point of view, honestly, considering that the comparison to chips, which is not considered a typical macro friendly food, and yes, I understand it's portion control, but I'm still going to look at it per 100 gram kind of thing as a comparison. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Not quite low, but a bit on the average side. It's not the most macro friendly when you actually look at the bigger picture, even though if I were to just look at it in a nutshell of the specific packet, which, I mean, maybe I should be looking at it from just the packet point of view, I'd give it more like a 7.5, a pretty decent score for macro friendliness. So you can take whichever score. If we're looking at just the overall picture, 6.5. If we're looking at the actual packet, 7.5. Make that decision yourself in terms of what one you will use for your own kind of executive decision, so to speak. Now, in terms of practicality slash portability, it's actually pretty good. I mean, you could always portion it at home, put it in a little Tupperware container if you buy one of these. You could get the individual ones. I'm going to give it about a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10 for practicality and portableness. And especially because it's not something that's really highly perishable. You could really put it in your bag and not really worry about it. So yeah, 9 out of 10, nice score for portability. Great for an athlete to just throw in the bag and have as a snack later. Then on to cost effectiveness. So cost effectiveness wise, I'm going to give it a score of about, I'm going to say about a 5 out of 10. I'm going to give it just a middle of the grade. Not super crap, but not super good either, okay? I'm going to give fans, give it a 5. In my opinion, it could be less expensive for what it is, but it is a health food and that's the way they're going to market it. But so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for cost effectiveness. And then finally, satiety. Okay, so I ate that whole packet. How do I feel afterwards? I actually can say that I feel pretty good. It actually filled me up more than I expected it to. And it doesn't have that, it doesn't give me that sensation like, for example, chips, if I were to eat the same amount, where I want to keep going for more, because it doesn't have that really high salt amount. And because it's got that combination of sweetness and savory, it doesn't give me that sugar craving either. So in terms of satiety, it's actually pretty solid. Because I could eat a little bit more, I can't give it a super, super high rating, but I'm gonna give it a pretty high rating. About an 8 out of 10, okay? 8 out of 10 is satiety. It surprised me. It's pretty filling for a snack. So if you were to eat a 60-gram packet like this, you'd be pretty set for your few hours until your next meal. Okay, I reckon you'd be set. Keep in mind, I've got a really big appetite, so for yourself, this could really be super filling. Sorry. So that's just something to consider. It's pretty satisfying in that regard. So yeah, satiety rating 8 out of 10. And when you consider that one of these packets is just under 300 calories for a pretty good snack, like that's actually pretty solid. Like it's pretty decent. Despite that, when you look at the bigger picture, macro friendliness is not as high as you'd expect it to be when you compare it to something like chips. So yeah, that's the individual scores. Now, adding them all up and then saying out of this, like, it's not the most practical way of doing it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you each individual score out of 10 for the individual things, which then you can use for your own kind of decision making. But I'm gonna give it a letter grade. I'm gonna give it a letter grade at the end of what I think collectively what it should get. And this one here is tittering in between a B and a B plus, okay? A B and a B plus. So either one of those will work. Okay? I can't make the decision which one to go for between those, and I know it's just like just make the choice. But yeah, it's more probably towards a B plus than a B. So let's go B plus. We'll give it a B plus today, just because it is very practical. It's quite filling. It gives you that sweet kind of craving satisfaction without kind of giving you so much calories when you look at the individual packet. But the thing that does bring it down is the fact that it is not the most macro-friendly thing despite being marketed as a health food. And also for the fact that it's not the most affordable when there are other snacks out there that are probably comparable or better in terms of the other factors, and they're not going to cost you as much, aka close to $4 for a small serve of something. But that's like the health premium on health products that you see. Probably the same in your country as well, but yeah. You see it protein powders and protein bars and all this sort of stuff. Protein cookies are a great example. One cookie that size costs you like $4 or $5. I mean, things like this is just standard. You got to kind of get used to when it comes to health food. So that does bring the score down, but I'm going to give it a solid B plus to be fair. And yeah, it doesn't get an A. It's still pretty good. It tastes great. So taste is probably the best thing of the whole thing. But it is really practical. So it's easy, high carb snack for an athlete on the go who wants something that feels like a bit more of a treat. So it does tick off that box if that is what you're looking for. Now what I want you to do is comment below. Okay, comment below and let me know. Have you tried this? Have you tried the other flavors? Which one's your favorite? But let me know what you think of this yourself. If you haven't tried it, try it now. Go to the supermarket, buy it. It's in Australia. Don't know if it'll be in your country, sorry. So if you're not watching, you're not in Australia, you can look for something comparable to it. I'm sure there is. If you're in the States, United States, you guys have so much variety of things of these kind of nature, so you probably find something similar, but it is in Australia. So if you are Australian, go try it, go buy it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, of course, if you want to keep on top of these and watch my other videos when I do future reviews, remember to subscribe, okay? Subscribe to the channel and also ring that bell so you can get a notification and stay in the loop whenever I release a video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's review, if you enjoyed this kind of different kind of video, then I can keep making more for you. Until next time, stay classy, have a good one, see you later, bye.